premier entrepreneur and investors here
That
in
he
the Tampa
is.
Bay area. He's like a ninja. He moves in silence.
Yes. I'm Steve. I can't
probably
wait to
shouldn't say
jump at
anything.
this. Yes. What's that?
I said I shouldn't say anything if I
No.
was in silence.
That's right. That's right. So, and then we're also going to have our guest, Mark Ross. We're trying to get him in on the Zoom. Mark Ross is a sports executive in the NFL, and he'll be coming in, calling us from the cold state of New York City. Yeah, it's good to be in Tampa Bay. All right. So, let's talk a little bit about Steve and Steve. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how'd you get started in business and what brought you to Tampa?
My parents brought me to Tampa, so I've been here since high school. So I call this home. And what got me into business? I'm a tech guy, and I got in during the .com days, and loved it, and have sort of gone from tech guy to entrepreneur to investor, and I guess back to tech guy.
All right. Mm-hmm. So, what type of tech are you into? I mean, tech has transformed many times, right? So, tell us a little bit about what got you into tech and what's going on now.
Yeah, the thing that always intrigued me about tech was that it's always changing. The one thing that you're guaranteed with tech stuff is that it's going to change. That's the only constant. And so,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
so I learned early on. I like the change, actually. I like experimenting with new tech, and so I'd like to say that I've spent most of my adult career professionally dabbling. So
Hence the
that's
name.
hence the name, exactly. So it's it's sort of a requirement in tech. You want to stay at least aware of what's happening. And so Dabble Lab is all about doing that for me. It's about, dabbling with emerging technologies, and then hopefully recognizing those technologies that provide an opportunity in business, and that's where you want to get scientific, and that's when the lab part comes in. But you're constantly dabbling. You're constantly trying to stay aware of what's out there.
Awesome. Well, speaking of dabbling, in the world of sports, this guy Kyler Murray is dabbling between MLB and NFL. Yes, they're trying to force him to make a decision. I think he's going to go the NFL route and hit the combine. So just kind of giving you a little bit of what's new in the world of sports and entertainment. Next weekend, we got the All-Star game. You have your boy Anthony that's been giving some people some fits at the Pelicans, right? What insights you want to share on that, if you have any, Kevin? Because you the former NBA guy.
Well, as a former executive there, obviously players are certainly hard to come by, and one of his attributes is he's one of the very best,
Mm-hmm.
and because of his talent, I quote this, and even some of the stuff that I've had people on with me through Pro to CEO, your talent is your bargaining power.
Right.
And how talented you are, it allows you to really set the table for what you want today and tomorrow. As he continues to perform, he can go in a lot of directions. It's a very tough situation he's in because he certainly looks to want to transition, but he's contractually obligated. So to me, if they can strike a deal with whoever's out there, we've seen a couple teams make attempts. It's going to be interesting. All I can say is, and I've met him and know of him and worked with him to some degree. Good guy, and he's been able to really show his worth. So now, based on the situation, it can go either way. So it's anybody's guess right now.
Anybody's guess. Well, speaking of talent, Steve, share with us, what were your talents that was able to attract you into tech, and how did you transform that into a business? when you were young, of course.
Yeah. Way back. I have to rewind a few
Young
years.
at heart,
Yeah.
though. Young at heart.
Yeah. I got a job telemarketing. This friend of mine was telemarketing, and it was kind of an odd job, and it was the worst job. But I remember recognizing pretty early on, like, this is just a numbers game. Whoever dials fastest wins, and I had always been interested in computers and technology, and I was actually talking to my younger brother, and he said, "Why don't you get a modem to do the dialing if it's all about dialing faster?" And so we set up like a little automated dialing system to increase the dial rate. And that launched me into tech. The manager I was working for at the time liked it because my results went up really, really fast, not because I was any better than anybody else, but because the technology dialed 10 times faster than in the day you could dial manually. And so he asked me to roll it out, and that company got bought by another company, and I sort of became the de facto tech guy as a result of that, and have sort of been involved ever since.
Wow. So that's amazing. And and that's a common theme when it comes down to tech or even business, is being a problem solver, right? And so you addressed something which was a aching point, which is, man, I don't want to do these darn cold calls.
Yeah.
And I need to get to as many no's to get to my big yes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, tech fundamentally, it's a tool, right? So it's not a whole lot different than a lever or a wheel. It just helps human beings do a lot more. And so everybody in business kind of has the same sort of fundamental objective, which is to figure out how to go further, faster. And tech today is a big part of making that happen, and not just today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Steve. So I got a question for you. So this show is about power moves, and you talked about being a telemarketer. Now, we know that's not something that perceived as not a great position, but some people do it really well, and that's their profession. They like that lane they're in. You didn't stay in it long. So what could you kind of tell us about what you benefited from by being in that position and then using it to catapult you into what you're doing now? What's the power move in that?
I would say so. The telemarketing was one position that I had, but I probably had 25 different jobs, and so before I found really what I am doing today, I guess. But the just working hard and keeping your eyes open. Like really, you just got to pay attention. You don't know necessarily exactly when an opportunity is going to rise. But if you're working hard and staying active and keeping your eyes open, you're ready when that opportunity comes up. And in my case, that opportunity, I didn't get that telemarketing job expecting it to turn into anything more than whatever the hourly rate was at the time.
The paycheck.
Yeah, and it turned into a whole lot more for me. It launched a whole new career for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I know when I am working with people, and one of the key components of leadership and developing yourself, especially when you go from here to there, is understanding how to be opportunistic. And that's one of those key things that some people get so kind of stuck in that position, and they can't see that it's going to give them anything. But you stayed in it, and you used that platform at least to get you somewhere else. What's the insight there that you can suggest when people feel like they've plateaued and they're right there and they can't see anything plus positive going past? What pushed you and what keeps you doing that? Because you say you dabble here, dabble lab is the company, right. Yeah. But I love that because we do sort of have to do some of that in ourselves to get somewhere, right?
Yeah, I had a good friend and mentor early on who I think put it in a way for me that made a lot of sense. And I was working on developing a business, and it was not going well, and very, very close to what I thought was the end of that business. And so I went to him and I said, I think I'm going to need to shut this thing down. And he said, "That's great. just do it tomorrow. And he sort of said it sarcastically, and I didn't get the sarcasm at the time. And so I said, well, I really can't shut it down tomorrow. I've got, things. He said, I didn't mean literally shut it down tomorrow. And he was very successful. And he said, for the first 20 years that I was building my business, I would always tell myself, I'm going to shut it down tomorrow. You just need to go one more day. And now 20 years later, it's just been a whole lot of one more days. And that's honestly, what it takes a lot of the time is just you don't always know exactly how it's going to work out. But, if you can make it work one more day, you're a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy, thinking that concept of one more day, because, whether you are working at a company or you are an athlete, you got to always improve one more day. Or if you're working at your craft as a celebrity actor, it's that every single day, because, rejection is part of life, right?
Rejection.
So the way you are becoming successful is by overcoming that. And so with that, what lesson did you learn in overcoming those objections in that one more day? Because it's easy for a mentor or a coach to say, hey, try one more day. And you're like, you want to say something else to them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think there's two parts to it. I think the looking at it day to day breaks it down into something small that you can handle. When you're going through something really hard and you think, oh man, I'm going to have to do this for the next 5 years or longer, however long you think it's going to take, it can seem overwhelming. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you also have to have a bigger picture. So you can't just get too lost in the day to day where you can't zoom out and say, for example, this is just one day. I mean, it might not be a good day, but it's only one day. And so tomorrow could be a whole lot better than today, or next week could be a whole lot better than this week. And so you got to kind of balance those two things. You got to balance the don't get overly caught up in the big picture, the future, where you think it's going to be so far out it'll never happen. But at the same time, don't let the day-to-day stuff distract you from the bigger picture at the same time.
I know when we first met, it was highly recommended. Hey, you got to meet this guy, Steve. He is got some amazing tech insights, and you seem like a bright guy. He seems like a bright guy. You guys got to connect. It's now been probably about 4 or 5 years later. And
it's the days to days adding up quick, right?
Yes, it is. And one of the things I've always pushed on, is even if I don't know a ton about someone else's industry, I've taken the time to be intrigued enough to say there's something I can learn from that. One of the things I've taken that from a coach or two in my day. What was some of the best advice you got? Not being a pro athlete, but you having coaches in your life. What's some of the best advice that you got from having a coach? And how did you get a coach or friend or industry person that got you insight to get better? And what would you advise, how that can impact your career if someone's trying to go up in there and make a power move?
Yeah, you gotta recognize, I think, and this came from I guess coach or a mentor of mine as well. You got to be able to push yourself and or get around other people that are going to push you also, because it's not just going to happen. So you get people that have a lot of talent, but talent by itself isn't enough. It's talent with a lot of effort and push behind it. And getting around people that, especially when you're building a business, under the best circumstances, building a business is super hard. It's super risky, and the odds are not generally in your favor. And I would say the same would be true for somebody on the professional
sports
the road.
side.
Yeah. I mean, that's your odds are you got to believe, and you got to work really, really hard, even if you're extremely talented.
Exactly.
So I think the getting around people is really important. People that can motivate you and encourage you, and encouraging them too, like being part of it. Like don't try to do it on your own. Under the best circumstances, again, it's hard. Doing it on your own makes it 10 times harder.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And I think we're gonna have to go to break.
But
are we still rolling? Great.
Okay.
Awesome.
So one thing, it's not all pie in the sky. You just tipped on a small iceberg. I'm about to drop on you. So
are you gonna hit him with a medallion? Are you gonna hit him with a medallion?
Not yet.
All right.
But I'm gonna hit people with the reality. And if you don't mind, what's been maybe some of those challenges in business, like a failure or something that you learned a tremendous amount about? Because on the outset, you look like a successful guy. You got the nice haircut here. You're poised. You speak well, and no one knows that pain behind sometimes taking that risk, as you said. When you went out, what didn't work for you? What was it, and what did you learn from it? And what can you tell other people to learn from it?
Oh, for me, the hardest thing that I ever faced in business was during the .com days, and we were building a business up, and I didn't know a lot about business. I thought I did probably at the time, but I learned that I didn't know as much as I thought I did. But we were building up a business, and as we added clients, I would just hire more people without processes in place, and we ended up with a very big team, and really a small number of clients that represented too much of the business in terms of opportunity.
Sure.
And the .com bubble hit that everybody hears about, and we lost 3 of those big clients, and I had to tell a lot of people that we weren't going to be able to make payroll and a couple of payrolls, and that was absolutely devastating to me because they put their faith in me, and I honestly believed we were just gonna light it up. I had no doubts, and so I could look somebody straight in the eye and say, yeah, trust me, we're gonna do this. And it didn't happen like I thought it would. And it was tough. And for me, it set me back emotionally for a good bit. It takes a little while to come back and dust yourself off and go, that didn't work, but I'm still standing.
Yes.
Wow. Well, we're going to dust you off right now and go to break. And then when we come back from break, we're going to talk about how you transgress from that. Once again, this is Power Moves on In Touch Radio, where reality radio where everyone is a star. Call in 813-444-9588.
Hey, Tampa Bay. Want to cruise to Cuba, Tampa to Havana? We've got the best prices. Call Kinsey Travel, 863-274-3715. That's Kinsey Travel, 863-274-3715. Baby, let's cruise.
Hey, this is Miss K with K's Kitchen, cooking Chicago-style fried chicken and fish with the authentic Chicago-style mild sauce. Come check us out at 5508 North 50th Street in Tampa. We're open Wednesday through Saturday from 12 to 6, or you can call us at 813-368-5196. Again, that number is 813-368-5196. See you soon.
Hi, this is Dr. Veronica Walters, also known as Dr. V, the head of school at the Walters Academy for Entrepreneurship, a place that we like to call The Way, where we're educating today's youthpreneurs to be tomorrow's billionaires through social entrepreneurship. Do you have a student who's bored, frustrated, gifted, inquisitive, creative, business-minded? Then maybe you need to check The Way out. Listen, we have an educational platform that allows for individualized instruction. It's strength-based, project-based, and designed to help your students become the absolute best they can while starting their own business and being an entrepreneur. If you're looking for something different and you need to find a more excellent way, then you need to visit us at The Way. That's The Way, www.thewaetampa.org. Or you can call us at 813-603-7923. We look forward to showing your student a more excellent way at The Way.
All right, we're back live and direct here in Tampa Bay, hanging out with my man Steve with the Dabble Labs. So before the break, we talked about how sometimes you got to make really tough decisions. You got to overcome some challenges and emotionally as an entrepreneur or as a human being. You got to take a step back and reflect and come back stronger. Some people come back stronger. Some people just give up, right? I mean, you've seen that with dealing with the athletes when they look into transition. Yep. I've seen that with recording artists where, when the industry changed and pivoted to streaming and they didn't understand how they was going to get their revenues and they have to take some steps back. The good news is when you take the step back, take that time to take notes, to reflect on it, and then come back stronger. And so, speaking of coming back stronger, Steve, share with us a little bit about, your most recent project, Dabble Labs. And I'm really excited about what you're doing there because that's some really good stuff. So you can share that with the audience and Kevin. That would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, even like Dabble Labs had a few pivots too. I think, I don't think there's a way around, figuring it out as you go. But I started Dabble Lab after selling my last company in 2014. And originally, Dabble Lab was an incubator company where I was going to spin out some ideas into individual companies and find a CEO to run those operations. And that didn't exactly pan out as planned. I found some great people, but they thought their ideas were better than my ideas, and that's how it goes. And so I ended up investing in a few of these companies with their ideas, and we put together a team that was kind of a shared development team across multiple organizations. And that core concept is what's expanded. And so Dabble Lab at its core is a company that provides fractional R&D, technology R&D teams. And we primarily focus on emerging technologies. So artificial intelligence, voice recognition. We do a lot of stuff with Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant and some blockchain stuff. We've got a few offices now that are set up with 3 to 7 engineers per office. And again, those engineers are shared across 5 to 7 clients. So for companies that want to have a technology R&D team, but maybe it doesn't make sense for them to have full-time people all the time, they buy into a team that's shared across a couple of other companies. So they share in the costs. And that's our core model with Dabble Lab.
That's awesome. So you talk about tech, and a lot of people want to make a move into tech. Some people are way more versed than others, but you hear tech all the time. Tech, and everything's going tech. This is somewhat a loaded question, but if someone has ideal or something, and they want to get it out there, how does a regular Joe? How does someone who has an idea? How does someone who has been doing something but just isn't quite ready to make that quantum leap? What would you suggest to them to make a strategic move if they wanted to into an industry such as tech?
Yeah, so I think for starters, it really you got to understand what it is that you truly love to do. And when you talk about tech, there's a lot of facets of tech. Immediately, I think most people, their mind goes to coding. And that is one part of tech. But there's a lot of other parts when you say tech. And when I first got going in the technology industry, a big part of what I was doing on a day-to-day basis, or when I was prospecting, was educating people about what tech could do. And that's changed so much today. Like, everybody's technical today. Everybody that has a smartphone or uses tech. I mean, look at all the tech that's around us right now. Yeah. Everybody understands what's possible. And that kind of makes everybody technical if you think about it, right?
Right.
And so I think you don't need to be a coder. I posted an article a few years back that got some traction on Medium, and it was titled "If you want to launch a startup, don't learn to code." And if you really love to code, absolutely do it. But if what you're really trying to do is turn your tech vision into something, and you're really passionate about the vision and where it could go, don't get too hung up on the coding side. There's a lot of people that you can hire that really love the coding side that can that can code it out for you. But focus on the idea. Focus on your go-to-market strategy, how you'll connect that idea with customers. Are there enough customers out there? Do they value it? Validate and verify all that stuff, and start there if you want to launch a tech business, because that's a bigger part of making it successful in the long run. I mean, certainly the technology itself is important, but finding the product market fit and the customers, that's really what's going to make you successful in the long run.
Sure. They talk about can you win a seat at the table, right? And is your ideal enough? And when I say a seat at the table, is your ideal one that has green space, meaning you don't have a ton of competition that you can either match up or eventually surpass?
Yep.
And then is there a real need beyond just nice to have, or I need to have this, And then I think the thing too is, do you have the infrastructure and capacity to go the long haul, right? To put in the effort, put in the time. And I think that's where a lot of people miss. When people want to start something in tech, is starting an app good? I mean, is that the basis? Could that be even a jump into tech for some people, or not?
I'm on. This is going to be a really biased answer because I'm. That's my disclaimer.
Okay.
Apps are great. Web stuff is great. What I'm really intrigued by right now is the potential for voice, and so Amazon Alexa, and Google
so tell
Assistant.
us more about that, because I saw some stuff working when I visited you. Maybe about 10 months ago, almost a year.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So
Steve does tutorials on it and everything.
Oh, I love it. I'm so
you can check out his YouTube channel. You want to advertise that?
Yeah. So if you go to youtube.com/dabblelab, we've got like 150 plus tutorials that'll teach you how to build Amazon Alexa skills or Google Assistant skills, and get about 250,000 views or impressions a month now on that channel. So
wow.
it's wound up pretty good.
That's amazing.
But it's not so much our channel's doing great, although we're happy to have that. It's the digital assistants and voice assistants, and the potential for them going forward is something that's really getting traction right now. And in the years to come, the things that we're so used to doing on our smartphone, imagine being able to do all of that stuff, while you're driving your car without having to take your hands off the wheel or without having to take your eyes off the road. That's where it's going, and our digital assistants will become a big part of our lives, and that's going to happen.
Well, I think it goes to, when I think about your story, and I want to kind of provide this as almost like a lesson to the audience, is when you first started with that prospecting telemarketing company, that was a first iteration of a voice assistant. To a certain degree, right?
Yep.
Very basic, and couldn't talk back to you.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell it what to do, but you programmed it. And as technology has evolved, now you're taking that same concept and you're incorporating that as a solution where it's a communication thing. But I think the other thing, as a lesson learned also as you've matured as an entrepreneur, is the fact that, subliminally, you had a team. So your voice assistant is almost that key component of your team, almost like a point guard, almost like your quarterback. You're the coach, and you're relaying to that voice assistant. And that's something that a lot of times when you are looking to become an entrepreneur, or if, let's say, for instance, you're looking to be successful within your company, you have to understand the dynamic of building a good team, right? So kind of, could you share with us any lessons you may have learned and how you evolved from, what you had to shut down your business, but then now you've expanded so you understand where everybody's strengths are to build that into a team?
Yeah. That's actually That's actually a really important thought. When you're thinking about building a business, there's always going to be more to do than there is time to do it. And there's going to be
amen to that.
There's never going to be enough. There's never going to be enough hours in the day. There's never going to be enough hands to get everything done. So you've got to become really, really good at prioritizing what the important things are. And simultaneously, the things that need to be done that aren't really high value. I heard the term. I like the term undifferentiated heavy lifting. So stuff that you have to do. It's real work. You can't not do it, but it's really not going to differentiate you competitively from the next person in a business. And so you're really trying to figure out, like, how do I do more of what differentiates me and more of what makes my business special, and automate the rest of it. And this is where bots and technology are really leveling the playing field. It used to be, and it still is to a certain degree, when you think about a company, a lot of times, like, investors will think about it and quickly think, okay, what is the revenue per head count, right? Like, that's always been like a key metric.
Yeah.
And as companies get bigger and more effective, generally their revenue per head count goes up, meaning they get streamlined, they can get more done with fewer people. And today, if you a good company, it depends on the industry, of course, but might be doing $150,000 to $250,000 per employee a year. But in the years to come, as we add bots and digital assistants, I mean, I really expect we'll see companies regularly doing, $1 million, which Google and Facebook do right now, 5 million, maybe even $1 billion. We might have $1 billion companies with dozens of people that are employees, because so much of the work is being done by
automated.
Automated. And with the network effect now, you really can get out in front of a lot of people. So I think we're in the midst of a major shift in kind of what defines a company as really effective, and this is both an opportunity and a challenge.
Wow. Yeah.
Man, he just broke us off. If you guys didn't know about what's to come, can't wait to hear more.
That's right. Well, once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. Boy, if you want to learn how to earn respect and attract power, you better listen to us on this next part of the break. Reality Radio, where everyone is a star. In Touch Radio.
Hey, this is Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News.
Hello, this is Angie Fox, founder of the Ash Wednesday Cigar Club. We meet every first Wednesday of the month at a Tampa Bay area cigar lounge. $20 per person includes a featured cigar, libation, appetizers, and a door prize ticket. Check out our list of upcoming events at ashwednesdaycigarclub.com.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
My name is Gil Sampson. I didn't come from a very rich family, and so paying for college would have been very tough. I don't know if I would have been able to go to the college that I went to, and then I don't know if I would have gotten into the career that I am in. So I think Bright Futures has done a lot to shape my life. Got a job as a structural engineer, and I design residential buildings, commercial buildings all over the United States. Because of Bright Futures, I was able to go to college. So many kids just don't even ever get that opportunity. And to be able to do it and not have any debt when I graduated is amazing. And it was all thanks to Bright Futures.
Florida has created more than 1 million jobs in only 5 years, and a great education connects our students to these exciting opportunities. That's why the Florida Lottery has funded Bright Futures scholarships to help over 725,000 students attend college. Because every play is for education. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
When it comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
I know that's right.
On your smooth soul and R&B station.
On the World Wide Web.
Access granted.
In Touch Radio.
right, so we're back, Power Moves, and my partner in crime, Kevin Carr with Pro the CEO, got a power move question for my man Steve. It's actually a power move challenge, right? So if Steve, if you were, hanging out with Kevin over here at the All-Star game, right, and some of these young players is coming up, or it could even be
the seasoned
players,
the ones in the winter of their career, as we would call it.
That's right. So go ahead, shoot them with that shot.
So I'm gonna ask you to do a major crossover here. So we know a lot of athletes, eventually artists, even execs, have to make their career crossover, and you're seeing some of them doing it now. And particularly, it's in the industry of tech, your bread and butter. Tech being super exciting, sexy to some degree for some. Talk about what it means to be in the tech space and invest and do it right. Because there's so many ways, right, that we've heard that people got burned, lost, bubble popped, whatever you want to call it. Tell us about how to do it and do it right, based on what you've been experienced to.
Especially now from give us both sides as an investor, because right, you're part of an angel investor group here, as well as an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
both sides.
Excellent. You have the floor.
Yeah. So another disclaimer. Investing and doing are two very different things.
Exactly.
Very, very
that's why
different.
I want you to provide both perspectives.
Good point.
Yeah. So I thought, in building companies, and after I exited, I thought, it'd be kind of cool to go invest, because I'd always had to go to investors, and I thought, that'd be good. I don't really have to do the work. I just kind of go in and put up some money, and it'll all be good. They'll do great, and I'll get
my money.
Yeah,
get your check.
What I learned is
Womp
it doesn't actually work like that. Yeah, not at all. And so for me, I invested in what I would call a lot of companies. I know investors that have invested in a lot more, with very, very few successes. I think as I got into it more, I realized a couple of things. And if you talk to experienced investors, and I was fortunate, being part of Florida Funders early on. I mean, there's some people that are part of that group that are just really, really sophisticated and really understand the stuff. So if you are in a position to start angel investing, I would absolutely go become part of an angel group. Like if you're here in Florida Funders for sure. Where you can get around other people that know this stuff.
Way more than you do.
Yeah. It's I invested because I like the people,
Okay.
and and the idea sounded kind of good, and I get excited. Like I like this stuff, so it's pretty easy to it's pretty easy to get me going on a good idea. But
most athletes,
yeah, right. Yeah, sign me up. I'll do it. This is gonna be great. But I think what I've learned is you really need to look at it like, what can I lend personally to this? Like, I like the idea, but how can I make the idea successful?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be hands-on, and I am a hands-on person, like I like being, part of it. If you don't want to be hands-on, then you need to play the numbers, and that's where you really want to be part of a group. And so, every angel group is going to tell you something a little bit different, but generally, there's going to be some ratio of wins to losses, and generally the wins are going to be the minority. So, for example, if you invest in 20 companies, you're going to lose all your money on half of them for sure, for the most part. You'll get, with the half that you haven't lost your money on, half of those you might get some money back, but you'll still lose, maybe not all of it. And then the last 25%, you'll get some wins out of that, but you're hoping that one win really covers the majority of it. And it's not the kind of, like I talk to young entrepreneurs, and they don't really understand the business of investing. They'll look at it like, well, I'm going to get this, this investor, a 5 or 10 time return on their money. And that's a requirement because the investor knows that most of them are going to lose. So even though you might get 5 to 10 times your money on one of them, that's going to net out to like 20 to 30% return across the portfolio. So it's not like, and I didn't get that myself, even after I had gone through business until I started investing. And you've got to, I think, go one of those ways. Spread your money out across a lot of deals, but have enough to where you can double down on the ones that don't tell you that they're doing better, but actually create results and customers. And you want to be able to stay stay active with those. So you'll have the ones that just don't work, and it's part of it's just part of the process. Unfortunately, it's a high risk way to invest your money. But also find the ones where you can really play some role in their success. And, maybe that is with a professional athlete that's got, access to, fans and contacts and things like that. Try to find something where you really can participate, not just financially, but, in the day to day. And for me, I think I invested in too many that I really couldn't help with. Like I thought they were a good idea, but I just wasn't in a position to really help them beyond cheering them on and like crossing my fingers. But the ones that you can help drive results for, those are the ones that you want to look at more carefully, probably, and don't get overly excited. Look at it from the business the business side of it. It is a business. It's if you're going to be an investor, that is your business, and so you've got to look at it that way.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a key point because just recently Nas just sold a company for $240 million, and what happened with him, I know his story because a gentleman by the name of Steve Stout. You know Steve Stout?
Steve, I have interface with Steve.
So Steve has done a deal with the NBA, but between Steve and Nas, they became investors in residence with Andreessen. Well, and so to your point, when you say, when you're an athlete or a celebrity that has money, surround yourself with the right team of folks that have been doing it for a while before you start saying, okay, you know what, I want to, drop a check. So that was a very good point there. So now going back to Kevin's question again, so that was on the investor side, which was some great power move tips that you mentioned. What about from an entrepreneur side? How, what tips would you share with folks in that regard?
The main tip there is find something that you're really passionate about and interested about. Don't get into a business because you're following somebody else's passion, or you just want to do it for the money.
You see a lot of people following because they feel this trend and they want to get in on it. That you're saying
no, and if it's cryptocurrency or whatever the latest thing is, you pay attention to all those things. Be aware of what's happening, but look at it more from where do I fit into this, or what can I be doing that I'm really passionate about, because you're going to be competing against people that are really passionate, right? And so if you've ever competed in the athletic world or any world against somebody who's really passionate, what that's like if you don't level up with their in business is very much like that. So the first tip I would say is do something that you would do even if you didn't get paid, and then figure out how to make money with it.
Wow. Yeah. And that's so true. You either like in the real world, you get, as they say, somebody will eat your lunch or take your lunch.
Yep.
And so many people are pursuing things because it's the trend, the it. And, I do something where I say it's the $5 million test. Whether you had $5 million and you could just go out there and do it, and money wasn't an objective, what would that be? You would go full on because you could do it. And then if you had no money, $0, and you still wanted to do it, what would that be? And I think that's the nexus, right, of finding that passion. Because if you had it, you'd put it in it, or if you had nothing, you're still doing it. And I think that's a huge difference for people. They're trying to find it, but they've got to figure out, what can I do over and over, over and over, over and over, and still get up in the morning knowing there's competitions. There's the LeBron James of the tech space that you're trying to, and then over here the next day you're competing with, the top Steph Curry, and then you're James Harden, and these are in business. I'm talking about from a business standpoint. So you got to be ready to level up every time you get there and have plenty of passion to go out there and knock that shot down in business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I would add is today when we say tech business, it's like every business is a tech business today. You can't stay competitive without being a tech business.
Sure.
So I can't remember. There's a commercial. I should remember who the players are, but they own a cupcake shop. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I've seen the two NFL players.
Yeah. But the point that they make in the commercial, I mean, cupcakes, that's not a tech business, but the social media part of making that business work is very much a tech business. And so whatever you're passionate about, it's likely going to be a tech business. So don't get too hung up on, what is the tech side of this to be, in a tech business. Like every business is going to be a tech business. Find what you're passionate about and do that, and use tech to amplify it.
That's extraordinary.
So what advice what tips would you provide for, and this part of the segment is sponsored by the Smile Experiment, serving single mothers and living elegantly. What tips would you share with single mothers with their children to help them, learn how to, get into the space, or, improve their surroundings, and what skills do you feel that these young kids need to incorporate so that they are part of the 21st century?
This is probably going to sound strange, but I would encourage them to fail at things, like to take chances and be okay with things not working out. Because if there is anything that is going to really help you, it's being nimble and going, that didn't work out, but let's try something new, and being open to a wide variety of activities. The world is moving really, really fast. And when our kids are, out in the workforce, we maybe grew up thinking, we'll find this great job that, that we'll stay at for 20 years. And our parents thought maybe 40 years. Right. But the reality now is, it's moving quick, and you need to be pretty agile and adaptive. And I think if we encourage our kids to try different things and to be okay at trying something and learning that they don't like it, or that they're not the best at it, that's all right. Just be curious. Encourage them to be curious and to try different things. And even things that you don't think you like, just trying it doesn't mean that you have to do it forever.
Right.
Yeah. But stay open-minded.
Yeah, the exposure is huge. And is there some potential basics of even taking yours a step further? What would be an entry level task, or certain things? Should they have a basic safeguards for a computer at home? Should they have, access to, if they can, get a tablet? Could they be using their phones to begin to advance technology? Because I know my son came home and showed me a website he built with supervision from school, and I was pretty impressed that he had some basics of coding down, and he was super excited about it. But not every school community can put that in play. What do you think some of the basic things people can be doing, or should kind of have a little bit of familiarity with?
I mean, you can learn anything today without relying on the government education system or any formal education system. You go on YouTube, you can learn anything, and YouTube is just one spot.
Right.
But if you're be curious. Go out on YouTube and just like I schedule dabble time for me. Like where it's time that I'm going to just do something random and try to learn something that is completely different. And very often I'll just start searching on YouTube for just anything and just find something that there's lots of great tutorials and people talking about like any topic you could imagine. Spend a half an hour once every other week or as often as you can learning something new, and you will be surprised at how much knowledge you can accumulate in a relatively short period of time. And kids, man, kids, they can pack in some knowledge fast.
Absolutely. Yeah. My daughter's all into that YouTube and how to anything, and then how to sell, how to do anything. So you're absolutely right. And that, what you just mentioned is what, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett do, is make sure they take that time, and Google practices that, right, as part of their culture, where they give their employees time to just kind of, get creative and iterate and figure out something, because that's what makes them constantly innovative, because you're stretching your brain to be innovative. So what I'm hearing from you is, making sure that these mothers stretch their kids, constantly be curious, even these mothers to also be curious with them, to encourage them, right? Yeah. To kind of get
schedule
going.
that DT time, that dabble time.
That's right.
That's the name.
It can be fun for everybody, because you don't want to put boxes around it. You don't want to say, hey, you're going to spend 20 hours a week doing this one thing to become the greatest in the world. Becoming the greatest in the world used to be the thing that you were focused on, but now that's a moving target, because
that's a great point.
Being the greatest at something that is not necessarily the main thing, but it took you the Malcolm Gladwell, the 10,000 hours thing.
Yeah.
What happens if in 10,000 hours we got a new technology and I've just spent 10,000 hours?
Yeah.
It's a rapidly moving world that we live in. So the rules are changing a little bit.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for, spending some time with us, Steve, on this lovely Tampa Bay afternoon.
That's a beautiful one.
What's a great way for our listeners and our viewers to do business with you, and what's the website? Share with your website, your social media channels, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so I'm most active on the YouTube channel, actually. So we've got myself and 3 others that are there managing the following up on all the comments, so questions and comments. So if you are interested in voice and developing and learning, and we've got stuff for absolute beginners that have never written a line of code in their life to people that have been programming for a long time. So there's something, but yeah, youtube.com/dabblelab. Our website is dabblelab.com. And on Twitter, I am at Tingaris, or at dabblelab gets to me as well.
Okay. Excellent.
And I would say, for a new person to the Bay Area, you were so welcoming and accommodating. You remember our spot, The Grind, the coffee house.
I still look for you when I go into it.
And, if you don't have a Steve in your life, who can kind of bring you up, for me, it's real important that we get out. If we want to make a power move in a space, you've got to go out and find it. It's not going to come rolling up. If you don't have it, ask someone who might be that much of a step to closer to helping you get where you want to be. Steve, thanks so much.
My
you've
pleasure.
been a great friend and partner to us.
Excellent. And one last question, man. What does Tampa Bay offer that no other area provides?
I think Kevin just touched on it. I mean, this is a community that is very, very open. You can talk to the mayor after being here for 2 weeks. Like it's very, very welcoming, and maybe that's because everybody's from someplace else. I like that.
Right.
we like there's a lot of diversity here because people are from everywhere.
Sure.
And
Right.
and I don't know if that's not the case in other cities, but that's one of the things that I really appreciate about this area. Everybody's very welcoming and open to collaborating, in business or personal stuff.
Yep. # Team Tampa Bay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Team Tampa Bay. Well, once again, it's a great show. Power Moves, reality radio where everyone is a star. Come check us out next week. We might be doing some live things at the All-Star game between myself and Kevin, right? And experimenting. Once again, thank you, Steve, over at the Dabble Lab.
Dabble Lab, shouts out to you.
Pro
all.
the CEO, in the house with the 9 medallions.
Yes, sir.
So go to this website, protoceo.com, 9 medallions. Check it out. See you next week. Baby.
We're playing your favorite